Hello everyone, this is Common and Cam, and today I'm going to be talking about FRASIER. So, Kelsey has come out and said that he is planning on rebooting the series. And a lot of fans have taken a lot of issue with this, kind of myself. I'm going to try and bring the opinions together and try and see the positive and negative. For my subscribers that know, I am a big FRASIER fan. FRASIER is one of my favourite sitcoms of all time. I remember watching it back in like 2012 and I was like, done for a week. I was just watching all of it, and I watched it continuously since then. Whenever I see it on TV, when I've been on holiday even, if it's on TV in the background like in the main lounge, I'm going to go sit and watch it because FRASIER never gets old for me. It's a timeless classic. And the question is, do we really need a reboot? And if they're going to reboot it, what does that actually mean? Do they mean a new continuity and not acknowledging anything in the past? Because we know FRASIER is a spin-off from Cheers and they managed to make the continuity fit in that. Sure, there was a few errors, but it still managed to work as a solid universe. Now, the word reboot is a very dangerous word to use in certain franchises. With FRASIER, how could it possibly work? Is it going to dismiss the entire continuity before, or is it just rebooting in general? But it can't just call it FRASIER then, because what made FRASIER so great, not only with it just being about Kelsey Grammer, but the cast as well, John Mahoney, David Hyde Pierce, Jane Leeves, all of them, all together. And the unfortunate part about it is, for the FRASIER fans that know, John Mahoney, who played Martin Crane, passed away this year in February, and that was really heart-wrenching to me because the guy was just so talented. He was TV's best dad. He brought me so many laughs, and hearing about his death really did hit a nail with me. But the reason why I was never so advocate for a FRASIER reunion before is because the series ended kind of perfectly. We didn't need to really know. I mean, we got glimpses of what FRASIER's next journey would be when he got on the plane and he was moving to a different city. It was like, oh yeah, because he's going to chase the girl and all that kind of stuff. And we know it'll work out in the end. So what? Is it going to be called FRASIER in his 60s? Because I'll have to label that, because with the sad absence of John Mahoney, we can't just overshadow that. I'm not saying that this show doesn't have a chance. It's just how are we going to proceed it. I don't want it to be just a complete reboot. For all we know, there might be a dedicated episode to John Mahoney, because he passed away, and with this FRASIER continuity, continuing on from if FRASIER's like 60 or something, if it's not a complete reboot, and then maybe they could play into that, because no way they're going to recast Martin Crane. You can't do that, because that's just going to be even worse. And I don't think that'll ever be the case. Now, in a sense it can work, but I just don't want it to be named FRASIER. Because what made the show of FRASIER is the cast around it. Roz, Daphne, Niles, Martin, etc. And if we do have FRASIER now with Charlotte and they've made that life together, how will it work now? Because we have FRASIER in love. I do believe that would be a funny comedy premise, but I just don't like the word reboot because I just don't think it will work. If you just name it FRASIER, and we'll have it labelled as like 2019 FRASIER, but I do possibly see it working as a continuation from before. Though in all fairness, Goodnight Seattle was a perfect finale, one of the best finales I've ever watched from a TV show. Do you really think we need a reboot? Because we know how reboots have tarnished previous legacies. It's just messed up, it's failed. But with Kelsey Grammer being this great writer and obviously still a great actor, we don't want a reboot without that cast. So if they want to make it work, they've got to make it continuous continuity and label it something else, FRASIER 60 or something. I know it's a dumb name, but they can come up with better names than that than just the one I suggested. I mean, it's like 20 years of FRASIER Crane. Are we just going to scrap that and start new? It doesn't work in some sitcoms. It's better to acknowledge the past and see where the characters are in the future. Though it doesn't always work, because if you remember in that FRASIER episode where we saw a majority of the Cheers cast, that episode isn't very well received. I pleasantly enjoyed it, but when Cheers ended, I feel like that was supposed to be the last we saw of that cast. There were some great exceptions when Woody appeared in FRASIER and Sam as well in their standalone episodes. But the episode where we saw the cast together with like Carla, Norm and Cliff, people just didn't like that episode altogether. I moderately enjoyed it. I didn't think it was the greatest episode, but still just like a good throwback to have those characters back in. But it still felt a little bit forced in some aspects, and you can definitely tell that the cast had changed from that point. And one of the many things fans don't like is seeing their favourite characters grow old. They like to remember them for the time they were in, because we know from like finales and stuff that they're going to lead a better life. Like we know with FRASIER, he's going to be with Charlotte, he's going to get married and hopefully has another kid. Of course he has one already with Lilith, but we know he's going to start a new family. So I just have a lot of trouble with the idea of a reboot. I don't have an issue with like a continuation. Maybe it's just been misworded, and Kelsey obviously meant like a new exploration in the world of Frasier. Like, we're not going to diminish the past. So I don't know, there are just some shows where a reboot isn't required. Like, it's not necessary. There are some perfect finales where we will still remember this, we will still watch it, it stands the test of time, and I think Frasier is just one of those exceptions. And the reason why there's such a big uproar is just that Frasier is one of the most clever and brilliant shows of the 90s. And to bring it back, especially when culture's certainly changed and there's a lot of restrictions on certain things, you can tell there's a lot of difference in the formula now. Can they retain that charm, basically, like they did in the 90s? Like, will the original writers still be on board with this one? Like, because as much as I think Kelsey Grammer knows what he's doing, obviously he can't do it alone. He needs that supportive creative team that he had back in the 90s as well, because that's what made the show. It was a team effort. So that's just sort of my round off and my kind of issues with the Frasier reboot happening. They never confirmed it. They never straight out said it's happening. They're just like eyeing for it, and if it does happen, I will obviously embrace it, and I will just have to trust Kelsey from there. So I guess just for Frasier fans, we've got to kind of trust Kelsey on what he's doing, and we have to trust that if Kelsey sees that this is a bad idea, or he just hasn't got a lot to work with and he's having second thoughts, then he will back out. Like, I don't think Kelsey would inherently do this without having it properly planned out. He's just planning and skepting on ideas at the minute, and I think it's okay. I just don't like the idea of a reboot. Anyway guys, share me what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this is a good idea or not? I guess we'll have to wait and see. This has been Common and Cam, and goodbye.